What's up, everybody? It is early season. Pretty much all my rivers are flooded and running high, so I'm up in the mountains fishing a small pond. It's been 5 years since I fished here last. I fished here with my little boys. I'm not even sure 100% if there's any fish that are even still in here. This pond is so small, so shallow. It definitely winter kills. You can see how shallow it is. There's a little guy right off of that log. A lot of people don't think that trout are structure-oriented fish, but they definitely are. I will find trout oftentimes under logs, under clumps of seaweed that's just free floating. I'll find them off of weed beds, rock points, whatever. They are very structure-oriented fish. So if you're fishing a lake or a river and you see structure, there's a good chance that trout are going to be hanging out around that structure. I don't know if there's any fish right there. I haven't seen any, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about that will hold trout, especially brook trout, along these logs. Even though it's shallow, there can sometimes be really big fish in these shallow little spots when there's structure. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop my fly in right next to the log and pull it along both sides of these logs and see if I can get a fish that will come out and eat it. If you can see, I'm just jigging my fly up and down, giving it lots of action, trying to attract a fish to come out and actually eat my fly. I know the net's a little overkill, but I'm using it so that I can keep the fish in the water while I get some video for you guys. Look at those beautiful spots. So pretty. Little guy, but so pretty. Here's a look at my fly, guys. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side of the log. There's a little depression there. You can see it in the shadow. There's a good chance there's a fish sitting right under that. There he goes. So far we've only caught smaller fish, but I know there are some bigger fish in here. I was creeping around the lake here, or pond, and I stepped on a branch, and right on the other side of that big log there was a bigger fish, maybe up to a pound, sitting there. And as soon as I stepped on that stick, he just shot right underneath into the protection of that shadow and that log. So I'm gonna give him a minute, and then I'm gonna see if I can catch him. Big fish though, was not the fish that I saw. and looked, ducked back under. Where this water has been on this log is super slippery. Shoot. Just missed 2 in a row, guys. Whenever possible, I like to keep my rod tip about an inch in the water. Helps me detect bites, those subtle little eats. If I have my rod up here, you can see the slack hanging off the end. I'm just gonna miss a lot of eats that way. Had a couple eats out there, and I guess I just wasn't on my A game. I did see a little bit bigger fish, even though I didn't catch it. When I fished here last time, about 4 or 5 years ago, there were definitely some 12, 13-inch fish. Most of what I'm catching right now are like 6 inchers. Maybe it needs a little time. Must have winter killed or something, and the fish are small, so hopefully those little bit bigger fish come back in. If you can see behind me, there's a deep bucket out here. I'm gonna throw some casts out in there, see if there's some bigger fish hanging out in there. Small but beautiful. These really big water boatmen swimming around here. So I'm gonna tie on either a bigger nymph or a leech. I tied on a little leech. We're gonna see if maybe a little bigger fish will come out. What I like to do when I tie my flies on is I like to put a chapstick on, and as I tie my knot, I put a little bit of that chapstick on the line to use as a lubricant. I like to use something simple like a beeswax and olive oil base. That protects the line from heating up as you tighten it down and causing some friction damage, and can make all the difference when you hook a bigger fish. jumper. That was maybe an 8-incher. Well, that was like a 2-incher. Oh, 2 of them chasing, fighting. Bye. I'm getting a lot of eats, but they're mostly short strikes. I'm thinking it's probably because the tail's pretty long on this fly and they're small fish and they're just not getting the whole thing in their mouth, but I am getting a lot of bites. However, I haven't seen anything that's really big besides that one earlier that was over off that log, and he wasn't big enough that, you know, I'm gonna stick around. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll catch you on the next episode.